My name is Sarah Nolan, and I'm 34 years old. Yesterday morning, I woke up to 99 missed calls from my mother and sister, the same people who told me they needed space and to never contact them again. That was the message they sent on my birthday. My sister even hearted it. What they didn't know was that I sign every check in this family. They didn't know that the mansion they live in, the cars they drive, the credit cards they swipe, all of it flows through my hands, until I made it stop. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. And I'd love to know, where are you watching from and what time is it there? Let me take you back to how it all started. Growing up, I was the invisible daughter. Not in any dramatic way. I wasn't locked in a basement or denied food. It was subtler than that. My mother simply looked past me. Every room I entered, her eyes would scan for my younger sister Jessica first. Every conversation circled back to Jessica's needs, Jessica's dreams, Jessica's problems. I became the fixer, the quiet one who handled things. When Dad passed away 10 years ago, I was 24 and fresh out of business school. The company, Nolan Properties, was drowning in debt. Mom didn't know what to do. Jessica was 19 and more interested in shopping than spreadsheets. So I stepped up. I restructured the loans, renegotiated contracts, worked 60-hour weeks until Nolan Properties wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Now I'm the CFO. On paper, that sounds impressive. In reality, it means I transfer $8,000 into Mom's account every month. Another $3,500 to Jessica. I pay for the house they live in, the cars, the vacations, the spa days. Not once has anyone said thank you. The only calls I get from Mom are when the money's late. 2 days delayed last month because I was closing a major deal. She didn't ask how I was. She asked why the transfer hadn't come through. "Your sister needs it for her trip," she said. No hello. No how are you. I remember the last time someone in my family acknowledged my birthday. I was 12. Dad made me a chocolate cake with too much frosting. He wrote, "Happy birthday, my little CEO," in crooked letters. That was 22 years ago. Dad's been gone for 10 of them. And every year since, my birthday passes like any other day. At least that's what I thought this year would be. 3 weeks before my birthday, I discovered something that should have been impossible. It was an accident. Jessica forwarded a message to the family group chat, except we don't have a family group chat. At least, I didn't think we did. Turns out, there was another one. Mom and Jessica's private channel. The one without me. The forwarded message was brief. "Let's discuss the shares at Saturday's meeting. Jay, wear something nice." I stared at my phone. Shares? What meeting? I scrolled through the screenshots Jessica had accidentally included, dozens of messages I was never meant to see. "Mom, we should look into selling some company stock." Jessica, "Sarah won't like that." Mom, "Sarah doesn't need to know yet. She just handles the paperwork." My chest tightened. Jessica, "She acts like she runs everything. It's annoying." Mom, "Don't worry about her. She's always been difficult. No social skills. That's why she buries herself in spreadsheets." Jessica, "True, lol. She wouldn't understand business strategy anyway." Mom, "You're the one with the real business sense, sweetheart, like your grandmother." I set the phone down. My hands were shaking. For 10 years, I had rebuilt this company from the ground up. I had sacrificed weekends, relationships, any semblance of a personal life. And to them, I was just the difficult daughter who handled paperwork. But it was the date of their secret meeting that truly broke something in me. March 15th, my birthday. They were planning to discuss selling my father's company, the one he trusted me to protect, on my birthday, without inviting me, without even remembering why that date might matter. That's when I started paying attention. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with a calculator and 10 years of bank statements. The numbers told a story I had been refusing to read. Monthly transfers to mom, $8,000 cars is 120 months, $960,000. Monthly support for Jessica, $3,500 is 120 months, it owes $420,000. House payments, car leases, credit card bills, emergency loans that were never repaid, another $400,000 at least. In 10 years, I had given my family nearly $2 million. In return, I couldn't remember the last time Mom asked how I was doing, or the last time Jessica called just to talk. The only communication was transactional, money in, silence out. I thought about Dad, the way he used to look at me across the dinner table, like I was the only person in the room who understood him. The late nights we spent going over business plans when I was still in high school. His quiet pride when I graduated top of my class. "You're the only one I trust with this, Sarah," he told me, weeks before the cancer took him. "The company, the family, you'll take care of it all. I know you will." I had kept that promise. But somewhere along the way, taking care of the family had turned into funding their lifestyle while they erased me from their lives. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. There was a name I hadn't called in years, Harold Weston, Dad's attorney and oldest friend. He reached out every year on the anniversary of Dad's death. Just a quick message, checking in. I always replied politely and briefly. I had never understood why he kept reaching out. Now I was starting to wonder. I made a decision. I wouldn't confront them. Not yet. Part of me wanted to call Mom immediately, to demand an explanation, to ask why they were meeting behind my back, why they thought I just handled paperwork, why they never remembered my birthday. But what would that accomplish? More denials, more gaslighting, more, "You're being too sensitive, Sarah." No, I wanted to see the truth clearly, and the clearest view would come on March 15th, the day they claimed to want to discuss company business, the day they apparently forgot was my birthday. I would wait. Watch. See exactly how my family treated me when they had no reason to pretend. In the meantime, I called Harold. He answered on the second ring, like he'd been waiting. "Sarah." His voice was warm, careful. "It's been a while." "I know. I'm sorry I haven't." "Don't apologize. I've always understood." He paused. "Are you calling about the letter?" I froze. "What letter?" Silence stretched between us. "Your father left something for you," Harold said slowly. "Instructions were to give it to you when you were ready. I've been waiting for this call for 10 years. My heart was pounding. Ready for what? He never said exactly, just that I'd know, and that you'd know. Another pause. "I think you might be ready now, Sarah. Am I wrong?" I thought about the screenshots, the secret group chat, the meeting planned for my birthday. "No," I whispered. "You're not wrong. I'll bring it to you, but not until you ask me to. This has to be your choice." I thanked him and hung up. My hands were trembling again, but not from anger this time, from something that felt almost like hope. March 15th arrived like any other Tuesday. I woke up at 6, made coffee, checked my work emails. The sun came through my apartment window the same way it always did. 34 years old today. I waited until noon before picking up my phone. My finger hovered over the family group chat, the one I was actually included in, the one where no one had posted in weeks. I typed a simple message. "Today's my birthday. Did anyone remember?" Then I pressed send and set the phone face down on my desk. I tried to focus on work. A contract needed review. Quarterly projections were due. The minutes crawled by. 1 hour, 2, 3. At 3:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Mom's name flashed on the screen. My heart jumped. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe she remembered after all. I opened the message. "We need space from you. Please don't reach out anymore." I read it 3 times, certain I was misunderstanding. But the words didn't change. Then came the notification. Jessica liked the message. My sister had hearted our mother, telling me to disappear from their lives. On my birthday. I sat very still. The afternoon light shifted across my desk. Somewhere outside, a car horn honked. Life continued, indifferent to the fact that my family had just excommunicated me with 11 words. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, muscle memory took over. I opened Instagram. Jessica's profile was public. She'd never bothered to add me. Her latest story was a photo of champagne glasses, decorations in soft pink and gold, a banner in the background. I zoomed in. "Happy birthday," it read. The timestamp showed it was posted 30 minutes ago. My hands had stopped shaking. They were perfectly steady now. I scrolled through Jessica's stories with surgical precision. The first showed the entrance to the house I paid $12,000 a month to rent. Pink balloons framed the doorway. A valet was parking a Mercedes. The second was a boomerang of Mom adjusting a flower arrangement. She was wearing her company event pearls, the ones she saved for impressing business partners. The third made my stomach drop. It was a guest list, handwritten in Mom's elegant script. I recognized the names immediately. Marcus Webb from Web Development, our biggest client. The Hartley sisters, who owned half the commercial real estate in the county. David Chen from the investment firm we'd been courting for months. These weren't family friends. These were my professional contacts, people I had spent years cultivating relationships with. And they were at a party in my family's home, a party I wasn't invited to. The fourth story showed the birthday cake, 3 tiers covered in edible flowers. The name written in elegant frosting loops, Jessica. Jessica's birthday is April 20th. I checked the date on my phone, March 15th, my birthday. Mom was throwing a birthday party for the wrong daughter, on the right daughter's actual birthday, using money from the right daughter's pocket, while telling that daughter to never contact them again. And she'd invited everyone who mattered in our professional world. I imagined the conversations happening right now. "Where's the older daughter?" someone might ask. "Oh, Sarah?" Mom would wave her hand dismissively. "She's not really part of things. Difficult girl, no people skills." They had no idea. The person funding their champagne and their caterers and their valet service was sitting alone in her apartment, freshly blocked from her own family. Something shifted in me then. Something quiet and final. I called Harold at exactly 5 p.m. "I'm ready," I said. "Bring me the letter. I'll be there in an hour." No questions. No hesitation. While I waited, I did something I'd never done before. I pulled up the company's financial structure. Not the day-to-day operations I managed, but the ownership documents. The things I'd signed years ago without really reading. Dad had left me 60% of Nolan Properties. Mom got 20%. Jessica got 20%. I knew that already. What I'd never fully processed was what it meant. As the majority shareholder and CFO, I had signing authority over everything. Every contract, every major expense, every distribution from the company accounts, including the family trust, the trust that funded Mom's lifestyle, the trust that paid for Jessica's credit cards, the trust that had been bleeding money for a decade while I signed the checks on autopilot. I had always thought of it as Dad's money, family money, something I was obligated to manage for everyone's benefit. But legally, I was the sole signatory. Nothing moved without my approval. Harold arrived at 6. He looked older than I remembered, but his eyes were still sharp. "Before you read this," he said, handing me a sealed envelope, "there's something you should know." I waited. "Your father restructured everything 6 months before he died. He knew your mother would—" He paused, choosing his words. "He knew Patricia would favor Jessica. He saw it even then. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He made me promise to wait until you came to me." Harold's voice was gentle. "He said you needed to see it for yourself. Otherwise, you'd never believe it." I looked at the envelope in my hands. Dad's handwriting on the front. For Sarah, when she's ready. I broke the seal. The paper was yellowed at the edges. Dad's handwriting filled both sides, the same neat print he'd used for everything, from grocery lists to business contracts. My dear Sarah, it began. If you're reading this, it means what I feared has finally happened. Your mother and sister have pushed you far enough that you've started asking questions. I'm sorry it took this long. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better. I've watched the way Patricia looks at you since you were small. The way she compares you to Jessica, always finding you lacking. It breaks my heart because I know the truth. You are the strongest person in this family, the most capable, the most loyal. But strength isn't the same as being valued. And loyalty means nothing to people who only see what you can give them. I'm leaving you the company because you're the only one who will protect it. But more importantly, I'm leaving you the power to protect yourself. The trust, the accounts, the signing authority, it's all in your hands for a reason. You don't owe anyone your sacrifice, not even family. If they've hurt you enough that you're reading this letter, then they've already shown you who they are. Believe them. And know that walking away isn't betrayal, it's survival. Doing the right thing doesn't mean letting people take advantage of you. Remember that. I love you more than I could ever say. And wherever I am, I'm proud of the woman you've become. Your father. I don't know when I started crying. The tears just came, quiet and steady. And Dad had known. All those years ago, he had seen exactly what would happen. And he'd built me an escape route, brick by brick, waiting for the day I'd need it. That day was today. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, I see you. And if this story is hitting close to home, would you do me a favor? Drop a comment telling me, have you ever had to set a boundary with someone who should have loved you unconditionally? I'd really like to know I'm not alone in this. Also, if you're enjoying this, that subscribe button really does help more people find stories like this. Now, back to what happened next. I folded Dad's letter carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. Then I looked at Harold. What are my options? He walked me through everything. As majority shareholder and sole signatory on the trust, I could freeze distributions immediately. I could restructure Mom and Jessica's access to company funds. I could, if I wanted, cut them off entirely. But that's not what you're planning, Harold said. It wasn't a question. No. I stood and walked to my closet. I'm going to that party. Harold's eyebrows rose. Are you sure that's wise? They're telling everyone I don't exist, that I'm difficult and have no people skills. I pulled out my best suit, charcoal gray, impeccably tailored, the same one I wore to board meetings. I want to see what else they're saying, and I want to see who's listening. Sarah, Harold's voice was careful. I should tell you, I was invited to that party. Marcus Webb asked me to come review some partnership documents. I turned to look at him. They don't know you're my lawyer, I realized. They think you're just the company attorney. Your mother never bothered to learn the details of the legal structure. A small smile crossed his face. She doesn't know I report to you. Something clicked into place. You'll be there. I will. And Marcus Webb will be there, our biggest client. He will. I thought about it. Mom telling everyone I was nobody. Jessica claiming credit for my work. And in that room, two people who knew exactly who I was and what I did. I wasn't going to make a scene. I didn't need to. I just needed to walk into that room and let the truth reveal itself. I'll see you there, I told Harold. I arrived at the house at 7:30. The valet took my car without a second glance. I walked up the familiar stone path, past the rose bushes Mom had planted last spring with money from my last bonus. The front door was propped open. Laughter and music spilled out. I could smell expensive perfume and catered hors d'oeuvres. I didn't go in, not yet. Instead, I circled around to the side garden, where French doors led to the living room. The curtains were parted just enough to see inside. Mom stood in the center of the room, holding court. She was telling a story, her hands moving expressively. Several guests leaned in, including Marcus Webb, who I recognized from our quarterly meetings. I moved closer, staying in the shadows. My older daughter? Mom was saying. She waved her hand dismissively. Oh, Sarah has some issues. Emotional problems, really. Very difficult to be around. My chest tightened. We had to cut ties for our own mental health, she continued. It was heartbreaking, but some people just can't maintain relationships. A woman I didn't recognize made a sympathetic sound. That must be so hard. It is. Mom dabbed at her eyes, actually dabbed at her eyes. But we have to protect ourselves, don't we? Marcus spoke up. Doesn't she work for the company? Sarah, I mean? Mom laughed, actually laughed. Sarah? She does some minor paperwork, filing, that sort of thing. She gestured toward Jessica. This one is the real business mind in the family, just like her grandmother. Jessica beamed. I stood in the dark garden, watching my mother lie to my biggest client about who runs the company my father built, and I realized she had no idea who I was. Time to remind her. I walked through the front door like I belonged there. Because I did. I was paying for it. The foyer was filled with people I recognized, clients, partners, industry contacts. A few nodded politely at me. Most didn't know my face, only my signature on their contracts. I moved toward the living room. Conversations died as I passed. I was wearing my board meeting suit, not a party dress. I looked like I'd come from work. I had. Mom saw me first. The color drained from her face. Her champagne glass tilted, nearly spilling. For 3 full seconds, she just stared. Sarah, her voice came out strangled. What are you doing here? I stopped in the center of the room. Every eye turned toward me. I'm not contacting you, Mom. My voice was calm. I'm just here for the birthday party. Jessica pushed through the crowd, her face twisted with confusion. Your birthday isn't for another month. I smiled. No, Jessica, my birthday is today, March 15th. Your birthday is April 20th. Silence. Then whispers. Mom's face cycled through expressions: confusion, realization, fear. That's not... You can't just show up here. I told you we need space. And I've given you space. No calls, no texts. I looked around the room. But this is my professional network too. I thought I'd say hello. More whispers. I saw Marcus Webb frowning, looking between me and my mother. Wait. His voice cut through the murmurs. Sarah Nolan? As in... He turned to my mother. Your daughter is Sarah Nolan? Our CFO? Mom's mouth opened. Nothing came out. The room went very, very quiet. And I realized that in all these years, she had never once mentioned what I actually did. Marcus Webb stepped forward, his brow furrowed. Mrs. Nolan. His voice was measured but sharp. You just told me Sarah does minor paperwork. Mom clutched her champagne glass. Well, I meant... Sarah Nolan, Marcus continued, is the chief financial officer of Nolan Properties. She's signed every contract between our companies for the past decade. He looked at me, then back at my mother. She personally saved our Riverside development deal when it was about to collapse last year. Gasps rippled through the room. I don't understand. That was David David Smith, from the investment firm. Patricia, you've been telling us your older daughter isn't involved in the business. She manages the money, Jessica interjected, her voice pitching higher. That's not the same as... That's exactly what a CFO does. Marcus cut her off. That's literally the job. From the corner of my eye, I saw Harold Weston step out from the crowd near the bar. If I may, he said calmly, I'm here tonight to finalize partnership documents with Web Development. However, I should clarify something. Everyone turned to look at him. As legal counsel for Nolan Properties, I can confirm that Sarah Nolan holds 60% of company shares. She is the majority owner and has sole signing authority on all major financial instruments. Harold paused. Including the family trust. The silence was deafening. Mom's face had gone gray. That's not. It's public record, Patricia. Harold's voice was gentle but firm. You would know this if you'd ever read the corporate documents. Jessica grabbed Mom's arm. What does that mean? What does sole signing authority mean? I looked at my sister, at my mother, at the room full of people who now knew exactly who I was. It means nothing happens without me. The room erupted in whispers. I watched my mother's face transform, confusion giving way to calculation, then panic. She had built her entire social identity around being the matriarch of Nolan Properties. Now everyone knew the truth. Sarah, Mom's voice shifted to something softer, pleading. Sweetheart, this is all a misunderstanding. That message I sent was very clear. I kept my voice even. You said you needed space. You said not to reach out. I didn't mean... And Jessica hearted it. My sister flinched. I thought... You thought what, exactly? I asked. Jessica's mouth opened and closed. Around us, guests pretended not to stare while absolutely staring. Mom tried a different approach. Tears welled in her eyes. It's been so stressful, darling. You know how overwhelmed we've been. We weren't thinking clearly. You were thinking clearly enough to throw Jessica a birthday party 5 weeks early. I gestured at the decorations. On my actual birthday. More whispers. Someone near the back actually gasped. That's not... Mom looked around desperately. The caterers made a mistake with scheduling. We had to... The banner says, Happy Birthday, Jessica, Mom. My voice stayed calm. The cake says Jessica. This wasn't a scheduling error. Marcus Webb cleared his throat. I think I should go. He caught my eye. Sarah, I'll call your office tomorrow. We should talk. Others began to follow. The party was emptying, guests making hurried excuses. I watched my mother's carefully constructed world crumble in real time. Then I turned toward the door. Sarah, wait! Mom grabbed my arm. You can't just leave. We need to discuss. I gently removed her hand. You asked for space. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. I walked out without looking back. Okay, real talk. If you were me at this exact moment, what would you do? Would you walk away like I did, or would you stay and say more? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know how you'd handle this. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, now might be a good time. We're getting to the part where everything falls apart for them. Here's what happened next. I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts. Just the quiet hum of the engine and the streetlights washing over my windshield. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vengeful. I felt tired and strangely peaceful. When I got home, I poured myself a glass of water and sat at my desk. I had work to do. First, I called the bank. The family trust had a standard review clause. Any signatory could request a temporary freeze pending evaluation. I exercised that right. How long will the review take? The account manager asked. As long as necessary, I said. Please process the hold immediately. Next, I emailed Harold a list of action items. Review all financial access for Patricia and Jessica Nolan. Audit distributions over the past 12 months. Prepare documentation for a formal restructuring of trust disbursements. Nothing illegal, nothing vindictive, just boundaries. Finally, I opened my phone settings. I found Mom's contact and pressed block, then Jessica's, then the group chat. They had asked me not to contact them. I was simply making sure I couldn't. I set my phone on the nightstand and lay down. For the first time in years, I didn't check my email before closing my eyes. I didn't worry about whether someone needed something from me. The ceiling was dark and still. My apartment was quiet. I thought about Dad's letter. Walking away isn't betrayal, it's survival. I wasn't walking away from my family. I was walking away from a version of myself that let people treat me like an ATM with a heartbeat. That night, for the first time in 10 years, I slept through until morning. No phone buzzing, no emergencies, no one needing anything, just silence. It was the best birthday present I'd ever given myself. I woke at 7 to sunlight and birdsong. For a long moment, I'd just lay there. No anxiety, no dread. My body had forgotten what it felt like to wake up without tension. Then I remembered. My phone was blocked. I unblocked the numbers just to check. 99 missed calls. The counter had maxed out. 47 voicemails. I scrolled through the call log. Mom's cell. Jessica's cell. Numbers I didn't recognize, probably their friends' phones when they realized they'd been blocked. The voicemails started panicked and escalated from there. 8:47 p.m. Sarah, this is ridiculous. Call me back immediately. Mom's voice, clipped and angry. 10:15 p.m. The credit card isn't working. What did you do? Jessica, shrill. 11:30 p.m. Sarah, whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Now fix this. Mom again, less confident. 2:00 a.m. Please, please call us back. We need to talk about this. Jessica, crying. 6:15 a.m. Sarah, the bank says the trust is frozen. They won't tell us anything, please. Mom's voice cracked. Please, sweetheart. I set the phone down. My email held more of the same. All caps from Jessica. You can't do this. This is family money. A longer message from Mom, switching between accusations and pleas. I don't understand why you're punishing us. We love you. This is cruel. Please just call. At the bottom of my inbox, a different name, Marcus Webb. Sarah, I didn't know your family situation, and it's not my business, but I want you to know, my trust is with you, not them. Let's talk this week about moving forward. You have my full support. I read his email twice. Then I closed my laptop, made coffee, and watched the morning light fill my apartment. They would survive, but they'd have to do it without me. The next few days brought the reality home. Harold called with updates. The trust freeze meant all automatic payments had stopped. The landlord of Mom's rented mansion, my rented mansion, had received a declined payment notification. He'd called Patricia directly, confused. She tried to tell him it was a bank error, Harold said. He's giving her 30 days. Jessica's credit card had been declined at the spa where she tried to book a recovery day after the party disaster. Then at her favorite restaurant, then at the gas station. Her car lease payment bounced. The dealership sent a notice. They're realizing, Harold said quietly, that everything they have flows through your signature. I felt no satisfaction hearing this, only a strange, hollow calm. What about the business partners? I asked. The ones who were at the party? Marcus Webb called this morning. He wants to strengthen your partnership agreement. Says he's more confident in the company now that he knows who's actually running it. I almost laughed. Almost. The Hartley sisters sent flowers to your office with a note apologizing for believing Patricia's stories about you. They sent me flowers? And a request for a meeting. They're interested in expanding their investment. I sat with that information. My mother had spent years telling everyone I was nothing. In one evening, the truth had unraveled all of it. Harold, I said, I don't want to destroy them. I just want to stop being used. I know. His voice was kind. Your father knew that too. That's why he set things up this way. You have the power to protect yourself without having to hurt anyone. Then let's figure out a sustainable arrangement, something fair. I'll draw up options. I thanked him and hung up. Fair. That was all I'd ever wanted. Mom showed up at my office 4 days after the party. My assistant buzzed me with barely concealed alarm. Ms. Nolan, there's a woman in reception. She says she's your mother. She's upset. I closed my laptop. I'll handle it. I walked to the lobby myself. Mom was standing at the reception desk, her makeup smudged, her designer blouse wrinkled like she'd slept in it. Where is my daughter? She was demanding. I need to see my daughter right now. The receptionist looked relieved when she saw me. Ms. Nolan, it's fine, Rachel. I've got this. Mom spun around. For a moment, her face crumpled with something like hope. Sarah, thank God, we need to talk. This has all been a terrible... Not here. I kept my voice low and professional. This is my workplace. Then come outside. Come home. Please. We're family. You told me not to contact you. I didn't mean it. Her voice rose. Heads turned throughout the lobby. You know I didn't mean it. We were just stressed. Jessica was pressuring me. It wasn't... Jessica pressured you to forget my birthday? I asked quietly. Jessica pressured you to throw her a party on my birthday? Jessica pressured you to tell everyone I do minor paperwork? Mom's mouth worked silently. If you want to talk, I said, you can make an appointment through my assistant, like anyone else. I'm your mother. I looked at her, really looked. The desperation in her eyes, the fear. 10 years ago, I would have rushed to comfort her, would have apologized for causing trouble, would have fixed everything to make the tears stop. Not anymore. I know you are, I said, but I'm also a person, and people deserve basic respect. I turned and walked back to my office. She didn't follow. Jessica's world collapsed faster. I heard about it through mutual acquaintances, then through her increasingly desperate LinkedIn messages. My personal number was still blocked. The European vacation she'd booked was canceled. Her card declined at the travel agency. Her friends started asking questions. Word had spread about the party. Your sister is the CFO, but you said she just did filing. Her boyfriend, Tyler, a personal trainer who'd never held a job longer than 6 months, packed his bags when he realized the credit card gravy train had stopped. I thought you had family money, he said on his way out. This isn't what I signed up for. Jessica's LinkedIn message arrived a week after the party. Sarah, I know we haven't always been close, but I'm really struggling here. I didn't understand how things worked. I didn't know you were so important to the company. Can we please talk? I'm sorry for everything. I just need help. I read it 3 times. I didn't know you were so important. Not, I'm sorry for hurting you. Not, I'm sorry for treating you like you didn't matter. Just, I didn't know you were important. She still didn't get it. She wasn't sorry for the years of dismissal, the cruel comments, the hearted text message. She was sorry because the money stopped. I typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed another, deleted that too. Finally, I wrote, I appreciate you reaching out. When you're ready to have a real conversation about our relationship, not about money, let me know. I didn't hear back. The truth was harder to accept than I'd expected. My sister didn't miss me. She missed my wallet, and that hurt more than anything else. 2 weeks after my birthday, I sent a letter. Harold delivered it personally to Mom's house. I didn't trust email for something this important. Dear Mom and Jessica, I'm not cutting you off, but I'm also not continuing a relationship that only works when I give and you take. If you want to be part of my life, I'm open to that. But it has to be based on mutual respect, not on what I can provide financially. Effective immediately, the family trust will be restructured. You will each receive a fixed monthly allowance, $3,000 for Mom, $1,500 for Jessica. This is enough to live comfortably, but not lavishly. The allowance is not dependent on our relationship. You'll receive it whether we speak or not. But it's also not negotiable. This is what the trust can sustainably support without depleting principal. If you want more, you'll need to earn it. Jessica, you're 29. It's time to build your own career. Mom, the allowance covers a modest apartment and living expenses. The mansion lease will not be renewed. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear, but I've spent 10 years giving everything I had to a family that treated me like I was invisible. That's over now. I love you both. But love doesn't mean accepting disrespect, and it doesn't mean funding people who only see my value in dollar signs. If you want to talk, really talk, about us, not about money, my door is open. But I won't be reaching out first. You asked for space. I'm giving it to you. The next move is yours. Sarah Harold said Mom cried when she read it. Jessica threw it across the room. Neither of them called. But the check still went out on the 1st of every month. That felt right. It's been 3 months since my 34th birthday. Mom moved into a 2-bedroom apartment downtown, smaller than she's used to, but nice, clean, manageable. Jessica got a job, entry level at a marketing firm. I heard she complains about it constantly, but she shows up every day. That's something. We haven't spoken. Not really. A few awkward text messages. A birthday card from Mom for Easter. She got the holiday wrong, but at least she tried. I don't know if we'll ever have a real relationship. The kind where they call just to hear my voice. The kind where my birthday is remembered. But I've made peace with that. I spent 34 years believing that if I just gave enough, tried hard enough, made myself useful enough, my family would finally see me. Finally love me the way I needed to be loved. Dad knew better. He left me that letter because he understood what I couldn't accept. Some people will never see you, no matter what you do. And staying in that darkness will only drain the light from your own life. Walking away wasn't revenge. It wasn't punishment. It was permission. Permission to stop shrinking myself. Permission to stop apologizing for existing. Permission to finally put my own oxygen mask on first. Last week, I celebrated my half-birthday. Just me, a slice of cake, and a glass of wine on my balcony. No one called. No one sent flowers. But I wasn't sad. Because for the first time in my life, I knew my worth wasn't measured by who remembered me. It was measured by how I remembered myself. And I was finally someone worth remembering. Love isn't about being needed, it's about being valued. I learned the difference the hard way. But I learned. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to choose between peace and family? What did you do? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, there are a few in the description I think you'll really connect with. Thank you for staying until the end. It means more than you know. See you in the next one.